I didn't expect gratitude. Not after all these years. But I also didn't expect what came out of her mouth that Sunday afternoon. We were in the living room of her high-rise apartment. Marble floors, glass walls, a skyline view she didn't work a single day for. Her husband, Marcus, had just stepped out to take a call, so it was just the three of us. My daughter, her mother, my ex-wife, and me. I had come to drop off an old photograph she once said she missed as a child. A small gesture. Something sentimental. Instead, I got venom. "Shut up," she snapped, waving her hand like I was some street beggar bothering her for coins. "You don't deserve to be my father." Right then, her mother, who I hadn't spoken to properly in over a decade, smirked. It was that smug, bitter smirk that said I finally turned her against you. And truth be told, she had. But she didn't know me as well as she thought. She thought I was the same man who used to come crawling, begging to be a part of my daughter's life. She thought the fire in me had gone out just because I stayed silent. But silence is not weakness, it's preparation. Before we dive into the story, we'll love to thank you for your continued support to this channel. If you enjoy this story and stories like this, kindly subscribe and hit on the notification button so you don't miss any of our stories. We will love to hear from you also. Tell us where you're watching from in the comment section. We'll love to give you a shout out in our next video. Now let's begin. I stood still. My hand gripped the photo I brought. It was from her 7th birthday. Her smile missing 2 teeth, frosting on her cheek, and me holding her like she was my world. Because she was. I raised her when her mother vanished for days, chasing men who never stayed. I paid for her school when her mom spent rent on wine and spa weekends. I carried her through nights of fever and tears when nobody else showed up. And now? Now I was a ghost, standing in a mansion I indirectly paid for, told by my own daughter that I didn't matter. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I simply turned, placed the photo on the console table by the door, and walked out. But as I stepped into the elevator, I pulled out my phone and called someone who still remembered what I was worth. "Daniel," I said calmly, once the call connected. "You're still head of HR at Lorison Group, right?" "Still am," he replied. "Why?" "I need you to review the files of an employee, Marcus Adams, Director of Product Strategy." Daniel went quiet. "That's your son-in-law, right?" I paused. "He doesn't know that yet. But tell me, how's his performance been?" Daniel chuckled dryly. "He's on thin ice. 3 internal complaints. Arrogant as hell. Thinks no one can touch him." I smiled for the first time that day. "Then let's remind him who signs the checks," I said. "Pull the trigger. Effective immediately." Marcus didn't come home that evening. My daughter, Camilla, called him 5 times before midnight. No answer. She messaged, tracked his location, even reached out to his executive assistant. Nothing. By morning, she was pacing the living room barefoot, her silk robe barely tied, trying to make sense of the silence. That's when the email came in. The subject line was simple: termination of employment, immediate effect. Her phone dropped to the floor as she read the rest. She couldn't believe it. Her husband, the man who bought her a new car just 3 weeks ago, who gave her that designer bag from Paris, who swore they'd be in Milan by next month, was fired. Not warned. Not suspended. Fired. No explanation in the email, just a formal notice and a confidentiality clause that sent chills down her spine. She ran to call me. But this time, I didn't pick up. The next part hit faster than a storm. The company car was taken. Their second home, leased through his executive perks, was reclaimed. Even the private account her husband used to deposit her monthly comforts went cold. Suddenly, her glowing life dimmed. And the worst part? She couldn't understand why. She was still blaming everything but herself. Still unaware that the hand she bit was the one holding the ladder she stood on. Later that afternoon, Marcus came home. But he wasn't the same. He didn't kiss her. He didn't say a word. He placed a white envelope on the table, packed a small bag, and headed for the door. My daughter stood there, confused, hurt, and angry. "Where are you going?" she demanded. He paused. His voice was calm, low, but sharp as a blade. I spoke to HR, and then I spoke to the board. That's when I found out the truth. Camilla blinked. What truth? He turned slowly and looked her dead in the eye. Your father, the man you screamed at like trash, is the reason I ever had that job. He owns the company. He's the silent CEO. Her face froze. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Her mother, who had just stepped in to see what the noise was about, gasped. Marcus continued, and he didn't just have me fired. He let me go because of you. Because of your disrespect. Because you and your mother mocked the very man who built everything you benefited from. He zipped his duffel and added, I'm not staying in this house built on lies. I loved you, Camilla. But now I don't even know who you are. And just like that, he left. No goodbye kiss. No second glance. Just silence. The same silence I had carried for years. 2 days passed. I didn't hear a word from Camilla or her mother, but I knew they'd come knocking, not out of love, but desperation. And right on cue, early on the third morning, my housekeeper told me 2 women were sobbing by the gate. I stepped onto the balcony with a cup of tea in hand, watching from above as my daughter pounded the buzzer and her mother clutched her arm like a child seeking cover. I didn't rush. I let them stew in the silence they once thought was weakness. When I finally buzzed them in, I didn't open the door myself. I had already prepared a letter. A clean, white envelope, addressed simply to Camilla and her mentor. I left it on the front step. They rang the bell again. Again, and again. I didn't answer, not with my voice, but my letter spoke loud enough. Dear Camilla, it began. There's a reason I stayed silent for so long. Not because I was weak, but because I wanted you to succeed on your own. I never wanted you to live with the pressure of being the daughter of the man behind it all. I wanted you to have a chance to be proud of what you built, not what you inherited. But instead, you inherited something worse. Your mother's pride. The same pride that abandoned you when you were 4. The same pride that mocked me in front of others, then hid behind my money in private. You told me I didn't deserve to be your father, and I accepted that. Because now, I don't have to be anything to you. Not a father, not a provider, not your company's foundation. Marcus didn't lose his job because of me. He lost it because of you. Because your disrespect made it impossible for me to let my company be tied to people who spit on the hands that fed them. I'm done funding delusions. You want independence? You've got it now. Dad. The rest of the letter contained legal notices. Her access to the penthouse was revoked. My shell corporation had been paying for it. Her credit cards were disabled, linked to an executive account under my signature. Even the gifts her husband once gave her had been from quarterly bonuses I personally approved. She had never lived a single day without my shadow, until now. And as for her mother, there was just one postscript. You smirked when she insulted me. Now let's see you smile without my money. I watched them read it on the porch. Camilla fell to her knees. Her mother covered her face. And I finally exhaled. No more games. No more silence. Just the truth. Delivered. If this story made you think twice about pride and betrayal, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that hit where it hurts and heal where it matters.